manage your day-to-day with FAOD. From tracking symptoms, nutritional intake, medical events, medical records, and more, we hope you find this platform a valuable tool to help you take control of you or your loved one's care. Yesterday, every family should have received one invitation to join MitoAction Mobile, and hopefully you've accepted the invitation, downloaded the app on your phone, and are ready to get started. If not, we will take you through the necessary steps to activate your account. We are excited to have with us today Dave Willliams, who is the CEO of Karen, our MitoAction mobile app technology partner. Dave has worked with MitoAction to develop a state-of-the-art, customized, HIPAA-compliant platform with features developed specifically for the FAOD community. Dave is here today to help all of our attendees get started and walk you through all of the features and functionality of this amazing platform. We will take questions throughout the presentation, so please submit them using the Q&A option on the bottom of your screen. We'll do our best to take as many questions as possible. Dave will also be available at the Karen booth in the exhibit hall and will host Q&A sessions tomorrow throughout the day. Entrepreneur, thought leader, and visionary Dave Willliams has shaped the foundations of digital health innovation, helping more than 2 million people use health information to drive better care outcomes. Karen is inspired by David's experience caring for his mother, Karen, prior to her passing, and his special needs son. Dave is a 2013 Henry Crown Fellow and a 2018 Braddock Fellow of the Aspen Institute and a member of the Aspen Global Leadership Network. Dave earned a BS in Economics and Entrepreneurial Management from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania and an MBA in Digital Strategy with a certificate in Corporate Governance from the UCLA Anderson School of Management. Dave previously was a founding executive of Patients Like Me, the world's first and leading consumer health data sharing platform. He has also held corporate leadership positions at Aetna, Eli Lilly and Company, and Deloitte, and currently serves on several public, private, and nonprofit boards. MitoAction is excited to share our global innovation partnership with Karen with the FAOD community. Please join me in welcoming Dave. He goes by David, but I've known him all my life, so I call him.
For you, Dave is highly appropriate, no problem at all. And for anybody out there too, if you'd like to call me Dave, believe me, I'm going to answer. Thank you so much for that introduction. And it is an absolute pleasure to work with MitoAction and to service not only mitochondrial disease, but also FAOD. This is an honor to be here right now. And what I'd like to do is take you through the mobile app. And the mobile app, MitoAction Mobile, is meant to help you deal with and document your health experience. So as Kara said, I hope you all were able to download the app, okay? And I'm sure you all can see my screen. I'm gonna make sure I can go to the next one here. Hitting the down button there. A little background about me. You've heard about my bio, but these people are my children. The little girl on the left is Soleil Rose. That's my daughter, she's 13. She is on the autism spectrum, but extremely high functioning. Basically grade level on everything, does great, but does have some behavioral issues. My son, however, is 15, that's David the fourth. And I'm David the third. And he has severe autism. He's 15, he's nonverbal. He's not fully potty trained. He has several of the things that one would experience, one would expect for a child with his level of severity. He was diagnosed at PDD-NOS at 18 months. 2 years had his official autism, diagnosis. And just recently, my son was diagnosed with epilepsy. He just had his second seizure actually on Saturday, this past weekend. And it's scary. And we all know this when we have special needs children, just all the different issues that one faces. And you heard from Annette Hines earlier about all the legal issues that are there. And we're dealing with all of those each day today, as all of you. So I am in, without having a child with FAOD, my son has many, many other symptoms that are tied to his autism. And so I know the struggles that many of you face. But that is also what has informed MitoAction Mobile and the Karen mobile app technology platform that underlies it. And so what I would say is if you got your email invitation, you can use that and download the app from the App Store if you have an iPhone, or if you have an Android phone, you go to Google Play, okay? And once you do that, you are going to receive, and I'll show this on the phone, you're gonna be able to download the app, and I'm going to pull up my phone so you guys can see it on the screen. And it'll pop up here once I put this code in. You'll be able to see my screen, all right, see my phone. And when you log into the app, you're gonna get a pop-up that's gonna say this, add a health journal, FAOD daily. And you're gonna wanna say, let's go. You're gonna hit that let's go button. And the reason why is that activates the daily journal that's gonna capture your health experience. Okay, and I wanna show you that up front because I know a lot of you are downloading the app now, and I wanna make sure you don't choose that maybe later button because maybe later is not for you. For you, it's let's go. This is what activates the FAOD version of MitoAction Mobile. So I'm gonna hit let's go. And what it's gonna do, and I'm gonna turn my phone off now because it's going to go through and set up the, it's going to set up my, it's gonna activate the same thing that you're going to get. And I wanna show you a little bit more about the app itself. Okay, so I'm going to view back into full screen. But I wanted to show you that these beautiful people, and I always laugh because I say my son is just a good looking boy, despite the fact that he looks like his father. Why and what experience and what has inspired Karen, both my mother and my experience as a special needs father, or an AS dad, as I call myself. So what is MitoAction Mobile built to do with Karen? It is to document your health experience. And you can see in these basic screenshot panels, the ability is to capture symptoms that are tied to your condition, graph them longitudinally so you can see trends over time, and then communicate via text, via activities that you want to do, as well as share different media, which can be images, video, as well as audio. A lot of people use the app to record their doctor appointments so they can remember what was said and recall it and pull it back up. So it's this idea of totally documenting your health experience. And it's interesting contrasting what we do with the Odyssey study that was mentioned in the last session with Ultragenics, whom I'm extremely happy are making great headway in this space. What we're trying to capture is not what's in the electronic medical record. It's what's not in the electronic medical record. It's what's happening to you at home. It's what you're experiencing day to day. And that's why the Daily Journal is such an incredible tool. And why is it important first to document health experience? Okay, one, you want to quantify your experience, to know your condition better and how it impacts your life. And obviously for me, this is for my son, but I also keep a journal for myself. I want to understand how my experience helps me and sometimes hinders me as I walk through life. The next one is you want to visualize it. You want to understand your experience over time or that of your loved one. You want to understand those ebbs, those flows, and those triggers, the things that actually set off these negative experiences and outcomes that we want to avoid. We also want to be able to share this information, and that's what's so important now with the advent of mobile technology, is the ability to share this information and have that under your control is new. Everything that, when you think about it from a process perspective, all of your health information has been safeguarded by your doctor. It's also siloed. And you know, our kids tend to have multiple doctors, but all of their records are sitting in multiple systems. This is a way to bring all of those together in one place and have it be under your control. So the idea is to be able to have this information and then you control the sharing of information with all of your different healthcare providers. You want to get improved care from doctors and care providers, and they're so good with data. So if you can share this information with them, they're going to get data that they have never had access to before, that they can't get when you're in a doctor visit, that doesn't just rely on your memory to be able to say what happened. Now you actually have a longitudinal, quantitative, visualized view of your health experience, okay? And then lastly, you get to contribute to medical research. With everybody here in the community logging in and doing their daily journal, we can take that mass data and have that shared back with companies like Ultragenics, shared with other companies that are doing research in the field so that they get a full view of your experience. Obviously, de-identified, Obviously, there's a HIPAA consent that you will see when you log in, where you actually have to say, yes, I consent and use, we're a HIPAA compliant platform. That goes without saying. Well, maybe it shouldn't, but it should. We are a HIPAA compliant platform. But the idea is your data will be used for medical research as well to help advance the knowledge of the disease. Okay. So Karen is a first of its kind platform in this case. There's been nothing that does all the things that we do. And the first is, when you look at the app kind of in abstract here with the panels, one is each member is going to receive a daily journal. You saw my activation of that with that pop-up on my screen when I showed you the app, and I'll show you that again. A health journal is a searchable feed of your health experiences. And this can include not only these symptoms that you'll see here, but it's also health files, images, video, audio, activities. You can manage appointments this way. Symptom and vitals tracking for sure, event reporting and more. Okay, all of these things that you can do because it's the idea of documenting your health experience, okay, or that of your loved one. And each journal is shareable. Okay, you can just push a button and it's shareable. You can invite people to the app and they'll have access to all of this information. You can grant that access. You can also revoke that access because not everybody needs to have access to your health information the entire time. But the sharing typically is used by family. So me and my wife share information on my son. And so we contribute to that information together as well. And from time to time, we grant access to that information to doctors so that they can see what we see. And there are other ways to get the information out of the app and get it to the doctors, like a PDF and things like that, and that's great. And we do that. But the idea is that you could also bring other people onto the app and then they can interact with you as well as see the information that you're sharing. And then lastly, Karen creates these reports. And you can see these graphs here. This is just one type of report that looks at a symptom of shortness of breath. And you can see it over time as more entries have been made, okay? And you can do that for multiple symptoms, as you can see here. And so the idea is that you're capturing all this information, but now you're visualizing it. And that now you have reports that aggregate all of this information. And then you can take that information as a PDF report to your doctor's appointment, even if you want to have something in your hand. And then you can share it with them that way too. So this way you can have a good.
I'm sorry. Can I ask a quick question? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. One of the questions that came through is that as you're talking about inviting your physician, and some doctors aren't quite as tech savvy, what are your recommendations for the best way to present this information and encourage use of this platform with your medical team?
That's a great question. Typically, we see doctors they're resistant, not just because they're technically not savvy, they just don't want to take on another piece of technology too. So that's another reason why a doctor may not be the person who engages on the platform. What we are able to do is you can log in on the website that underlies this, because it's not just a mobile app, that's the main experience, but there's also a website experience. And you can create a PDF of all of the different charts and graphs that you see, and then you'll be able to share it with, and on paper if you want to, with your doctor, whether that's through email or if that's an acceptable way to send information, or when you're taking it to a visit, you can share that information on paper as well. So there are multiple kind of offline or old school ways, one might say, to share this information with your doctor, and they need it, if they wanted to. But it is highly valuable information, so we want to give you as many ways as you can to get it to your doctor. Okay, so the idea is print a PDF. That's really what we're talking about here. You can also take screenshots on your phone and send that information via email as well. However that information needs to get sent, it's up to you. You are the person who consents the transmission of that data. And so whichever methods you and your doctor agree to are great. The reason why we encourage people to try to get them on the app is because we're HIPAA compliant. And so they can, by following the rules of security and privacy, can transmit information back and forth in a compliant manner. And that's why we recommend using our platform to move this information. Is that helpful, Kyra?
Yes, sorry, I muted myself. Yes, that's perfect.
Oh, yeah, okay, no worries. I just want to make sure I answered the question. Okay, then I will continue and show how it works. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you all of this stuff in advance, how it looks, and then I'm going to show you everything on the phone at once, okay? And that gives you all also a chance to download the app and then hit Let's Go on your FAOD mobile or FAOD daily journal, Let's Go, pop up. Okay, so the first thing you're going to see is a daily journal, and it says FAOD daily. Sometimes it says daily journal. It's just different titles that you might see, and you're going to be tracking symptoms and vitals. Okay, the nutrition and values essentially is what we're talking about here when we're talking vitals. But to track a symptom or a nutritional value, you'll get the what we call an action message, and it's just a symptom reminder, and it comes through on the phone in the feed, and it says enter value. You tap that. And then for symptoms, you just scroll and you figure out which one it is, none, mild, moderate, severe, and it has the word and the emoji, okay? And once you've done that, you hit done, okay? When it's a nutritional value, like let's say it comes through with, essential fatty acids. You might say, okay, I'm gonna enter value, and then you just put in that number in grams, okay? And it'll come up and it'll be a pop-up and you put that number in, okay? Now what it does, once you've put in that information, it'll create these charts. And you hit view chart, you can see a symptom might come through as moderate, but the value might come through as the number, okay? And it'll say what number it is and what the unit is. And then, so any saturated fat, essential fats, other things you'll see that are in the daily journal, which I'm gonna show you everything that's in that daily journal in a moment. And so you hit view chart, and it's gonna show you a chart in the phone. So this one will be a fatigue symptom. You can see the trending between none, mild, moderate, severe over time. And then if you have for fluid intake or any of the fat items that you are getting a cumulative view, it has a bar chart and it adds it each day. Okay, so it adds it up for each day. So when you add in an item, let's say in the, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you've had 100 milliliters of fluid up until that point, but at 7 o'clock when the next reminder comes in, you've had another 700. You'll put in 200, and then you'll put the 700 because that's what you've had since the last entry, and then the system adds it up for you, and then it obviously graphs it for you over time. Okay, that's how it works. So you're capturing all this information, and then in the system automatically creates charts for you to see your visual trends. Okay. So what are the nutrition values that we're going to ask you to capture? These shouldn't be anything you're not doing. Okay, this is the way to digitize that, to get that data to work for you, to make it easy. And it takes seconds to do. Nutritional values, here are your calories, carb intake, fluid intake, protein, saturated fat, medium chain fat, essential fatty acids. And then we have this catch-all for other. These are ones that we have consulted with nutritionists, other patients, families to understand what are kind of the ones that really matter. And we have the ability to customize as well, but at least we start here and then we see what is the best characterization of your version of FAOD and can customize accordingly. And then we're going to ask you twice a day, okay? And each one of these, you're going to put in how many calories you've had up until 2 o'clock. And then at the 7 o'clock one, you're going to put in what you've had since 2 o'clock. Okay? And then what happens is when you have the next day, 2 o'clock, you're going to put in everything you may have had after your last entry, but before this one. So the system will then add all of those up, and now you'll have a daily view. Okay? The idea is to capture it after lunch and after dinner, because the idea is that you don't want to have, you don't want to eat overnight, and so you want to be able to just basically be capturing what you're doing in a calendar day. Okay? And that's how the system works for the nutrition values. So you'll get 2 reminders each day, and one at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and one at 7 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can put in how many calories you've had up until 2 and then between 2 and 7. All right? Then for symptoms, it's these set of symptoms. We're only asking for those once a day. So 7 o'clock, you're going to be entering data. But again, it takes literally 10 seconds, maybe 5 seconds each to enter. And I'm going to show it to you on the app. We're going to ask for all of these because these are the ones that you have told us that you need to track, that your doctors want to know about, that your nutritionists want to know about. Because this is how we can understand what leads to triggers, what leads, well, what are the ebbs and the flows on this information. And again, a lot of these might be none on any given day, but some of them might be severe. Okay? And you want to capture it. You want to document it. You want that information to be there because then it's actionable for you and then it becomes highly actionable for your doctors and other care team members. Okay? All right, so let me go into my phone. So I'm going to come out of here. I'm going to start my phone here, so bear with me for the moment as I bring this up. All right. All right. So as you can see, I have my FOAD daily right at the top. My daily journal is now activated. So I can tap in here, and this is exactly what you will see. You go to the top and it says, welcome to your MitoAction FAOD Daily Journal. And now you see the MitoAction logo because MitoAction is the sponsor of this daily journal. And then I've provided you a tip where you can track important symptoms, and then you can just tap on this image here, and I showed you a guide. And this guide is downloadable right to your phone through that little download button in the upper right. But it basically takes you through the exact same things I just showed you, which is how do you track the symptoms and the clinical values, okay? So that's right there for you. I just X out of there. And here you can see, just like I showed you, this is what the vital looks like or the symptom. So I'm gonna do carb intake because remember, that's one that you wanna have cumulative. These are examples on day one. So your first day, you're getting these 4 as practice items. Tomorrow, you'll get the full set of items for all of the things that I showed. So this is your practice day. So you can now say carb intake. I hit enter value. You can see a pop-up, tells me how many grams. Like right now, I've had a lot of grams. I'll just say 500, let's say that. And I hit done. And once I've hit done, it then updates the system. And you can see here at the bottom, it shows my 500 grams. And then you can see immediately there's a chart. And when I view chart, it shows you a bar chart because that's the one item that I've shown for today. And each of the charts shows month view, which is default, but you can also show a week view. Okay, so if you wanted to show that calendar week, all right? So I wanted to show you those. And when I add in another calorie item, it'll then add that to the total, and you'll have 1 bar per day, okay? But what if I want to do a symptom? Fatigue. This is just like the example you'll see in the guide. I hit enter value, and this is general fatigue. There's also muscle fatigue ability, and you'll see that come through. So that's the difference. This fatigue, when it's just fatigue, is general. And I'm tired, actually. But one of the things I'll say is moderate. So I hit done. Okay? And again, the system updates, and you can see I've now added moderate. But I can then view chart, and you can see now I have a moderate reading here. Okay? And I can show the week view if I want. So over time, you start to see you're getting more readings as you go, and you can start seeing trends, okay? Here you can see muscle pain and fluid intake are 2 other practice items that you can do on your own, okay? So let me show you a couple of things. One, I talked about sharing this information. What if I want to get somebody else in my journal? It's very easy. And there are guides to all of this that are in your briefcase for everything that I'm showing you. So all of this information that I'm showing you, it's great to get the visual feel here, but you'll also get step-by-step 1-page guides for each of these types of activities that you can do on MitoAction mobile app powered by Karen. In the upper right-hand corner, you see a search magnifying glass and a filter here. I'm not going to show those right now, but they're what exactly you would think they're for. It's for finding information. Once you've had a lot of information here, it's amazing how you want to be able to filter out certain things. You want to find things that are all related to a particular item. I'm going to show you an example of that in not too long. But the idea here, and I want to show you, is sharing. So this team icon in the upper right, which is this one here, I'm going to tap that, okay? And you can see it's only me, okay? I'm the care coordinator for my daily journal, okay? The system sets it up to be you, all right? But if you notice in the bottom left, I can then add somebody. This is how you grant access. This is how you invite someone. So I just tap there, and then I can add someone, and I can just, when I hit, oh, I'm sorry, I probably didn't show you what I did. I just tapped this little plus button, or in this space here, where it says to add a member, add a care team member, and then this, this menu comes up, and you can either add an email or phone number, or you can use your contacts on your phone. I tend to just use email, and it's either email or phone number. You don't have to do both. So notice it says add email or phone number. And so I can add, let's say I wanted to add my wife, Rose. I could take her email address, and what the system does, I'm not going to do that right now. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. It'll add them to this list, and then they will be part of that team once they joined, okay? So that's what you're going to see. You're going to see your FAOD daily. Remember, hit Let's Get Started, the Get Started button. And the other thing you're going to see is this FAOD community, okay? Now, some people have already been participating. I love it. You see, I sent out a message today, and I can do it right now, thanking you all for this opportunity, for all you do. each day. And you're seeing me do this in real time. And then I send this out, and then you're going to be able to also communicate with each other, okay? So this community, we have this for several of our partners, is highly, highly valuable because you get to talk to each other, okay? Christy, you're great, hello. And so this is the kind of thing that you want to do. You want to be able to ask questions of each other. You want to get peer-based support. A lot of times you just don't have the ability to reach out to someone or get, you know, if you post here, get multiple views back from people who are in a similar situation. And so that's why we offer this community. And Kyra has been such a leader in trying to generate more and more discussion among people in the community. So from that perspective, this is why it was an insistence on the part of both Jeannie and Kyra that this be part of how MitoAction Mobile works in general. So we have those, and I see you, Megan. I see you, Tasha. This is great. I love it. So now that we have, whoa, I just, there we go. You can see my babies, my very big babies there. And so this is one of these things where we want to also encourage you to continue to talk to each other and ask questions, okay? So definitely do that. And I see you too, Stephanie and Amy. You guys are getting shout outs in real time. That's pretty cool. So I want to show you some of the things that we do with my son. And the reason why I want to show you is this is real, okay? There are two areas that I have for my son. One is David IV's health, okay? And this is essentially his journal. We capture information on my son. This is the smaller version. We had a very narrow view of what we wanted to capture because we wanted to see some certain trends on my son. And I'm going to show you what the more generalized view looked like. But here you can see we're capturing agitation, irritability, constipation, okay? But we are also looking at his oxygen level and his heart rate, okay? And I just took, with a pulse oximeter, I took his oxygen level and heart rate. And our theory was, because my son has aggression, that when his heart rate is elevated, he's more likely to be aggressive towards others and not necessarily self-injurious. And so we want to be able to check what those things that are happening over time and document those, because then if he does have some of these episodes, which I'm also going to show you how to add, then we'll have the data that is precursor to that, okay? So first, heart rate, same thing that you saw before. We checked his heart rate. His heart rate was 67. My son tends to have a very high heart rate. That is extremely low for him. And he was calm. He was laying down, listening to music. It was great. So I add that in, and now you can see the system updates. Shows the, well, I have to go to the bottom. Oh, I have a filter on. Yeah, I do. Okay, let me pull out my filter. There we go. Okay, so you can see the heart rate there at the bottom at 67. Okay, just to give you a sense of what my son's hip view chart, what his heart rate tends to go to. Oh, let me actually come out of here first. It's still refreshing. I want to make sure it refreshes all the way. Oh, there we go. Okay. So you can see it can go well over 120. If you look at last month, you can see, you know, it's all over the map. We capture it all. It's because he's not the type who is kind of like resting or, you know, or elevated. He's all over the place. And this is how you can see it, okay? And we capture readings once and sometimes twice a day. And then if you notice at the bottom, it also has the data for each individual reading. So it's not just you're looking at the plot on the graph, you can actually see it as you go. So it's been as low as 68, as high as 123 during this time frame, okay? In May, in June, and it's okay, we miss sometimes, you see that, we're human, don't get readings all the time. Here in June, in July, we haven't had a lot of readings. He's actually been, there have been other things that were major issues for him. But I just want to give you a sense of how we're documenting. If you want to see his agitation, you can see he's had some major agitation, severe agitation here recently. I can also make this bigger so you can, you know, like normal phone stuff, I can go like that. And you can see that he's had some severe episodes. He lives around the moderate and severe agitation and irritability world, okay? And he has done that and been that way. Here's his view from last month. You can see barely hits the mild, but is always in the moderate and severe. And almost, he has one green, one none over the course of a month. That's him, and that characterizes how he is with the disease. And that's all from this daily journal that we're capturing information on. My son's oxygen level was 98%. We had a hypothesis that maybe his oxygen level also was low. Okay, and that might have been causing some issues for him in terms of aggression and so forth, but it wasn't. And so if you look at his chart, over time, even with all of that agitation, he's only had one kind of low, and this is at 92% here of the readings that we have. And even last month, he only had, just one low reading. So it doesn't look like when we're seeing all of this data, and this isn't even, this was the first month we did, you can see very, very tight band between 95 and 100%. That is what one would expect. So our hypothesis actually wasn't that, is that oxygen level really does not act as a precursor to his events, but that was something we wanted to test, okay? So I want to show you one more thing about what we've done with my son. And I'm on the app, so I have a lot of different journal conversations going. But here was my son last year in his journal, and this was part of a MitoAction group that we did. And my son had a serious allergic reaction. And see, we took pictures of his allergic reaction. So if I tap on it, and yes, you're seeing a semi-nude, I apologize, but I want to give you a semi-nude picture of my son. You can see these red marks here. Very severe that he had. And he also had some on his side. And these were not scratch marks, these are breakouts. And so we were trying to figure out what happened, but we wanted to document it. And you can see I tagged it. I actually did a description. His allergic reaction tonight, notice the redness and scratches on backs and legs. Another allergic reaction picture, shoulder and neck scratches and rednesses from itching, okay? Then the other thing we did is this, and this is what I want to show you all that you can do right in your FAOD journals as well. You see this allergic reaction? This is not a symptom. This is an incident. This is an event. And this is something that isn't something that necessarily comes up in your normal tracking journal. It's something that happens outside of it. And so the way you do that is the way you add any content to the feed. That's not text message, which you just add down here at the bottom. It's a text message there. But you hit this plus button. And the plus button, it brings up a menu, and that menu gives you the ability to add your audio, video, photos that we talked about, much like I added the photo there of my son. But this event symptom item is the one I'm going to choose. Because here, it brings up a form, and it may be a little hard to see, but there's ghost language here that shows you what you're supposed to put into each one. And the first one is selecting the event. And the event was an allergic reaction. Okay, and that's how I started this form. So I hit done, and then I enter value as the second one, and it gives you the same choices of none, mild, moderate, severe, and it was severe. Okay, so I put that in there. I said, when did it happen? Start and end date. That gives you a duration. So when you have episodes that are tied to, the condition of FAOD, you can actually, obviously stabilize your loved one. Like we stabilized my son for this allergic reaction before I entered all this information. But I did enter the information to document it so we could share it with the doctor so they understood what was happening with him. Okay, so, let's say that, that lasts for a minute right now, right? Then there's a trigger. Do we know what the trigger is? And it's okay if it's unknown, okay? The idea of doing a trigger is that if you do know what it is, you want to document it, right? Then you can say, did you give a medication? And then what was the response to that medication, okay? And this is something that MitoAction was a key partner in us figuring out exactly how to get the right information to document. So this is built for people with FAOD, with mitochondrial disease, and it is certainly applicable for autism and for a number of different conditions that can affect our children that are beyond just what the core diagnosis is. Okay, my son has multiple diagnoses, so it's amazing for him. You can say where there's an area affected on the body. So for my son, for his allergic reaction, which I'll show you in a moment, you saw it was the shoulder and it was the side and so forth. You can put that in. And then lastly, you can say, was there an emergency visit or hospitalization? You can use it as a checkbox if either of those happened. And then you can add notes. And this allows you to put in more information, more context. So you're documenting what happened at that time. And what that looks like when you see my son in that allergic reaction is me. This is how I filled out his form. He had an allergic reaction, lasted about a half an hour. We're unsure of the trigger. We don't know what it is. We gave him prednisone and Benadryl. We gave him Cordaid for itching. He had moderate response to that. He had vomiting and severe redness and itching on all limbs, neck, and back. And we considered an ER trip, but he said no. We actually told him we wanted to take him to the hospital because we didn't feel like he was, we didn't feel like he was stable enough with what we had done. And he literally, and this kid is nonverbal, let me tell you, he made it very clear that he did not want to go to emergency. Because he remembers when he had his first seizure, just how traumatic that situation could be. And he said, no, I'm okay. And he put himself in his bed. Okay, so this is the kind of experience that never hits the electronic medical record. Your doctor doesn't get to look in there and find that this happened. This is because we do this. We are capturing this, and then we share it back to them, because this is what happens and impacts us day to day. That's the experience you want to capture, and the medical system just doesn't normally have it. So here you can see he had 6 vomiting episodes. I said I can add more here too, because more happened, but that was the idea of capturing that information, and I wanted to share that. We created a seizure plan after my son had his seizure, and we shared that to the school. And so we then added it to our daily journal. And so here it's a PDF, and you could tap into it, and then it has what we do in a seizure. So when you're talking about things that you want to make sure the school understands about your particular situation, this was his in-school plan, okay? And we talked about his history. November 1st, he had the grand mal seizure. And this way it sits in here and it's accessible. And this is one of the most important things I'll say, and I'll kind of open it up for questions because I want to have a lot of time for questions. Adding information and having information accessible from your phone means you can have it anywhere and everywhere, okay? We have blood tests for my son in here that we have shared with doctors at conferences very similar to these. And the doctor said, oh, I'll need to see your son's blood work before I can answer a question. And literally we go up here, you go in here, you say, okay, let me pull that up. I go to my son's thing. I go, okay, here it is, David the 4th. I go here, I go to my, my search. I go to labs, something like that. I hit search. And because we have so much in this particular journal, and then bam, here's the seizure labs. Here's his seizure event report. You've got those. Then we say, oh, I want to see his blood work. Okay, cool. Where's the blood work? I go to search, and then it's going to look for all the blood work. Here's the lab blood report from 4/6/19. It'll pull that up. Here's his blood work, okay? You have this anywhere you want, anywhere it's needed, and it's infinitely shareable, okay? This is powerful, and it's meant to make you powerful and take control of the health of yourself and your loved one, okay? So that's back into the community. Lots of questions coming in here too. That is awesome. And I see, Kyra, you're in there as well. So fantastic. This was basically everything I wanted to cover. I'm going to come out of the phone here for the moment, but if there are any questions, I am happy to answer them.
Thank you, Dave. That was a lot of information, and I know that everyone's minds are going in a million different directions, thinking about all the amazing things they can do and track, and hopefully simplify their day-to-day as they can start to track some of this using this platform. So let's go through a couple of the questions. Some of them I was able to answer offline, but some of the questions are, how do I find the symptoms tab? So if in the app, how does somebody access adding a new symptom?
Mm-hmm. There are 2 ways you can do that. If you want it to be automated and then be able to be sent, you can do that through our website, okay, which is accessible on yeskaren.com. And I've actually created a guide for you to do that because there are like 5 steps, and taking the time to show you here may not be the best use of time for everyone. However, we do allow you to customize this. So if you want it to come out in your daily journal. Now, I will say this, there are people who use the event when I hit the plus thing, the event, they'll use that to capture symptoms manually, because some of these, if you notice the top says event or symptom or /symptom, I can tap on it and a lot of these symptoms appear in this list. So you can actually manually capture symptoms also. They don't have to come as a reminder every single day. And so if the situation you're asking about is about capturing a symptom that happens, maybe occasionally, but you don't necessarily need to track it each day, then you can use that little plus button and try the event/symptom and then look in the list. And if there's something that doesn't appear in the list that you want, I'm saying it's not alphabetical, I'll make sure it's alphabetical, but you have the ability then to take, talk to us, email you can even text in the community and say, hey, could you add this to the event symptom list? And I can go in and add that to the event symptom list. I mean, it's that easy. We've done that, Kyra, before, where somebody said they wanted some temperature dysregulation as part of the event list. So we did, we added it, and so they're manually tracking that way.
And,
So those are the two ways. You can use the
and
plus
one of the
button
great,
and you can use the
sorry, go
website.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying you can use the plus button or the website.
And one of the great things about it is if you are tracking a symptom here and you're picking from the list, it will chart that symptom measurement along with the other times you've tracked that same symptom, right? So say, for example, you're tracking muscle pain every day, but you have an incident with muscle pain and you track it using the plus button, it will add that muscle pain data point to your reports with the rest of the muscle pain data points.
That's right. And this is a pain trying to find this when it's not. Here we go. So here's muscle pain in the list. So if you have on the, let's say you already did your 7 o'clock, remember it's day, each symptom comes a day, but you have some kind of muscle pain breakthrough at 9 o'clock at night, you could use the plus button and add a muscle pain and it'll be on the same chart.
Perfect.
I just wanted to show that in real time, Kara, because that's a great point.
Perfect. Okay. I use a continuous glucose monitor. How might I be able to add this data to my journal or otherwise get this information together?
Interesting. So if you're transmitting your data from your glucose monitor into another app and you want to transmit our data into that app, we don't have a facility to do that. However, we do have the ability, if you wanted to customize your daily journal to include your blood glucose levels, we do have the ability that you could go into the website and add that to your daily journal, blood glucose. We do offer that, okay? So that is a way to customize this. You'll go in, I might be able to show this actually. Let me just quickly see. Let me move my phone over here. When you go into a daily journal, what happens is you log into the website, you'll notice it's at, I'll show you here. I'll show you here. I'll just show it real quick. It's a lot of information. That's why I hadn't planned on showing this to everybody, because it's a lot. When you go to yeskaren.com/MitoAction, you'll see a login.
.com/MitoAction. And this is the same login that you would use to access the platform on your phone.
Yeah, you can use this. Yeah, I mean on your phone. You can use this anywhere. Usually, you just say go use the mobile app on your phone. But if you want to actually make customizations to your daily journal, you go and you hit login here. Okay. And it'll take you to this screen that tells you to log in. I don't know why I'm slow because we're running Zoom right now. And I'm going to go in as myself. And when you get to this screen, you'll see this little page with the heart in the middle. That is where you go and you access your individual journals. Okay, so obviously I'm CEO of the company. I have a lot of those. But at the top, you'll see it's my FAOD daily. Okay, and you guys will just have this one. And you'll go to this part where it says individual actions. If you tap on that or click on that, it then gives you a listing of all the things that you currently have. And so if I want to add glucose levels, I'm in the endocrine group. I go to add, I choose, where's my glucose monitoring? Is it not? No, it is in this group. I don't know why it's not there. I'll have to make sure it goes into the list, but it is part of the endocrine group. And I'll make sure that, maybe I'll put it, did I just show that in I? Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah, we do have that. I apologize for it. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a clinical value. I'm sorry. And you scroll down, you'll see these clinical values. This is where you have all your nutritional items, fluid intake, carb intake, other fat, and so forth. That's where that list is. You just go in here and you hit the plus button in that group. And then you go to the drop down and here's your blood glucose levels item. And then you can say, how often do I want to track those? Maybe I do 3 readings a day. So I say 3 times a day. And what this does is it schedules your reminder to send the reminder to when to enter it into our app. And so then you can take the readings that you have 3 times a day, and then you can set this time, and maybe you want it at 8 o'clock, maybe you want it at 1 in the afternoon, PM, and then maybe you want it at 8 o'clock at night, let's say. And you would be able to do that. You would hit save, and then that would then come every single day based on your frequency, 3 times a day at those times would be added to your daily journal. Okay? So we always make the app experience is really meant to be mobile, but if you have something you just need to add, then we say go into the website and then you can customize all of this. You have access to that. okay? And if you make a mistake, you're like, oh no, you can just hit remove and it goes away. So, it's hard to make a mistake. So that we've meant it to be easy. But this is we actually have an entire tutorial. That's how do you use this. And there's also other things that you can do on the website that are also as part of your briefcase. You'll be able to see it's an extremely powerful platform, but we've simplified it in such a way that the phone, if you just use the phone to do one thing, which is, oh, let me bring that back up so that you can see this. If you just use the phone to enter in your symptom information or your nutritional value, like I said, this is generally how long it takes. I have maybe 12 of these to do, maybe 15 a day. If I go enter, my muscle pain is mild, I'm done. I hit the next one. I go to my fluid intake and I say, oh, it's 500 milliliters this time, and I hit done. That's how long. You're just ticking through these things, saying what it is, but every single one builds a chart for you. So day after day after day, now you're getting a really great view of what your experience is or what your loved one's experience is with the condition.
Yeah, and so just to clarify, so we had conversations with a lot of families and tried to get a sense for what the most popular symptoms and the frequency of those symptoms that needed to be tracked. And that's where we started with this plan. And so this was just meant to give you a place to start. And you can use those guides to go in and customize your plan so that you're tracking what is most meaningful for you or your loved one that you're caring for. But we wanted to make sure you had a place to start. So this is not an end-all be-all, but more kind of a template to get you going. And if we find that as we go through that there are certain symptoms that everyone's asking for, or there's certain that people are telling us, no, we don't really need that, then we can adjust the template as well.
That's right. And just as a reminder, in your briefcase, you'll have this presentation which lists, these are the things that we have in the default, that will have nutritional values twice a day to add, and then the symptom list that we have for you to add. All of those are appear here in your, in your briefcase, so you can see them. And so you'll know ahead of time, what, I want to have something else, and then you can sit there and customize as is needed. Okay.
Yes. So that answers a couple of the questions that you have the ability then to go in and add or remove symptoms in the plan that fit your personal needs. And you can go into the desktop platform in order to be able to do that. So Dave, one of the questions is, can you give a little bit of overview just very quickly, because we're almost at the end of the hour, about how do you upload and insert those documents where you had your reports and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So 2 things I want to show you first. One, remember that plus menu. Whenever you want to add anything that you know is on your phone, you use this plus menu, okay? If there are things that are on your computer, you use your computer, okay? Very simple. So if I have documents that I made on my computer that I want to put on in the app, that's when I go to the website, I log in again, and you see this area here looks really familiar. This is your FAOD community. Here's my FAOD daily. I can use the plus button here, and in the website, you have something called file upload, okay? That file upload, when you click it, then opens your desktop directory, and you can go in there and you can search and find some item that you want to add, okay? So that's one way you can do it. Let's say I want to pull one of these screenshots. Oh, that's errors, we don't want that. But I can pull any screenshot, I can say, okay, that's what I want, I hit open, and then I tag it. I give it a description and say this is a screen during the International Metabolic Conference. Okay? And what that does, it allows me to find that later when I do my search. So now this is how I can add. You can see I'm now added this here. And it can be PDFs, it can be others. Now, here's the other trick, and this is the easier one that I tell people. You can just open your, I obviously have a Mac, but you can also do this from PC. I can actually just go here and open up my Finder or my Control Center or my, my Explorer, I'm sorry, in Windows. And I can say, remember I had that seizure document for my son? We made that on the computer. So I go here and I'm finding that seizure file and I say, okay, here's his school seizure plan, right? I can also take this as a PDF and I can drag and drop, okay? And when you drag and drop, I'm just holding it right now so you can see these are the acceptable formats and the sizes that we have, okay? But then you just let it go and the same pop-up comes up and I can call this, you know, D4 seizure plan. And I hit upload. Okay. And once it uploads, you'll see it here as a file. And there you have it. And then when I go in on the phone, which I tried to do it fast enough not to have to re-enter the code, but I have to re-enter the code. So give me just a second. And just like you saw before, I was able to, whoops, here we go. Come on, code. There we go. All right. I can now go in and you can see the seizure plan and you can see that what I just added. The seizure plan then is accessible from my phone. I just tap on it and there it is. Okay. So that's how you do it. So anything you have on your computer, you log in on the website, you can drag and drop, or you can use the plus button for file upload. Make sure you make the description though, because that's what makes the search and the filter easier to find the things that you're looking for. Okay. We have other ways to organize and things like that in different views. I haven't even gone into the calendar yet or anything like that. There's so much to do in here. But if you just did those things that we talked about here, you will have a chronological, searchable timeline of everything that's happening with charts that document everything that you're experiencing over time, or that your loved one experiences over time. I use this personally every single day for my son. When my son had his first seizure, when we went to the emergency room, we had 2 months of daily data that we gave to the doctors in the ER and to the nurses. We had labs that we had taken a few months before within, so they could compare the labs that gave to him and the labs that we had, so they knew what was normal for him. You know, one of the things that's so hard for people to understand, even doctors who are so well educated, but a lot, especially in the ER, they don't see kids like ours every day. Okay, so you have to show them something that says, no, this is what's normal for my kid, that they can compare with labs that they're taking in an emergency situation. And that helped us a lot because I said, oh, I'm not worried about his heart rate being a little high. I can see that his heart rate is generally high. Or I can see what his blood work said before. I can see what it says now. Okay, this is okay for him. We can discharge him. We don't have to hold him overnight. I mean, those are the things that give you power when you're having those conversations, because you know your baby and you know yourself. And now you're basically speaking in the language that doctors need to see, which is the data. Okay? That's what gets you better care. That's how they can make better treatment decisions. And you become a part of that team, a partner in your own care, helping the healthcare system help you. And that's what we need. And that's why I do this. Any other questions I can answer before we run out in the last minute or so? No, I can't hear anybody. So if I've lost people or if there's a question.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry. We've had a couple of questions come in about tracking multiple kids. And so,
great question.
If you want to just talk for a second about how a family would manage that within the platform.
So there are a couple of things you can do. One of them is if they both have FOAD, you can actually let me know and I can actually send them another. You can invite them and they'll, you know, so in that scenario, let's be first about that. Let me be clear. You can invite someone to your daily journal or to the app, okay? And the way you would do that is I can hit the chat button down here at the bottom right. You see that here? I'm circling it right there. This allows you to invite somebody and create a new health chat. But what that does is that when you invite them, you can choose what we call an organization. And the organization you're going to choose is MitoAction FAOD. When you do that, when they join, they're going to get a daily journal. Remember that Let's Go pop-up that we want? So all you'll have to do if you have somebody else in your family who has FAOD that you want to be able to manage their own, I'm going to show this to you again. I'll cancel out so you can see what I did. You hit this button down here, okay, this little new chat button, and then you invite them. It's the same thing I showed you before, but it was on the team screen. I add that, usually email is better than phone number, but you just add their email right here, and you would hit done. And then you'd add a title, which is just usually a conversation between you and some other person. It's like having your own chat one-on-one. You'd give that a title, and then you can add an image, but it'll be the FAOD MitoAction logo. And I select the organization, and the one I choose is MitoAction FAOD. And when you hit done there, you hit done up here, what that's going to do is it's going to invite somebody. They're going to get an invite email. They're going to download the app, and when they come into the app after they join and go through their verification process, they're going to get that pop-up that says FAOD Daily, and they're going to hit Let's Go, and that will activate their own daily journal. Okay, so that's specifically for FAOD. If you want to have a journal for somebody who has another condition, there are several ways to do it, but the one way you can start is by creating, a new, chat to invite them, and then you can use that same space as a new journal and then manually track symptoms and things like that. If you have a particular condition that you want to see if we have a daily journal for, you can contact me offline and we can see if there's one that we already have in our library, okay, for other conditions, because in some we do. But if you want to create something for yourself, also, we have a way to do that. It's advanced. You're a power user when you want to do that. Essentially, it's making your own daily journal for someone else. Essentially, that's our power users do that. We can show you how to do that as well. Okay, but the facility is there. The ability to do it is there. The feature is there. Again, this is a powerful platform, but we're trying to keep it really simple. So what we want you to do is do the daily journal for yourself or your loved one, whoever you're tracking information for. That's the core experience you want to make sure you get, and then be able to use the community for your benefit. Anything more than that, in terms of starting, other people on FAOD Daily Journal, just invite them using that MitoAction FAOD organization. Anything more advanced than that, contact Kyra or myself, and we'll walk you through it. We'll get you we already have guides for it, but I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of, and I'm personally offering that service. Okay. Kyra, is that helpful? I want to make sure that you think that's helpful.
Incredibly, yes, that's perfect. So we're just over the hour, so we're gonna have to skedaddle. So Dave, thank you so much. This has been incredibly helpful. I hope everybody recognizes the value that this platform can provide for the community. And I would really, really encourage you to get in, play around, like Dave said. You can't screw anything up. We can help walk you through it. Dave will be available tomorrow at the booth at 12 o'clock and at 4 o'clock. He will be doing Q&As in the lounge. So he will be there to just go through and just answer questions and get everybody moving and making sure that you are you're working well. And then also after the conference, I will be sending out an email where you can schedule one-on-one time with me if you'd like, and I can help you with any questions or issues that you're also having with the app, or you can put them in the community. As you see, I'm in the community too, and I'll jump in and answer, and we'll all get through it together. And we want your feedback. It helps us make the tool more powerful if we have your feedback and we know exactly what you need and what you need to be tracking. So we really encourage everyone to please give us feedback. It just helps make this tool that much better for the community.
Absolutely. My last thought is, notice that when you get your daily journal and after you activate it in your second day, there are tips and other links to different information that can also teach you more and more how to use the platform. And it's interspersed with all the things that you get in your daily journal, so you can continuously learn to be that power user we're talking about. But you can always reach out to Kyra and myself as well. Exactly.
Yeah, we haven't even touched the tip of the functionality, but we wanted to make sure that we got everyone in, you get comfortable with the platform. And as you get more and more comfortable, as Dave said, we encourage you to use those quick start guides, and they've been dropped into your briefcase. And there's also a complete set on the MitoAction website at mitoaction.org/mobile. so you can continue to learn and continue to expand how you're using the platform. So, all right, so this completes today's sessions. So right now we've got our virtual cocktail hour. So we welcome everyone to visit the lounge where you can interact with other families in the virtual diagnosis meeting rooms, or you can simply use the chat functions at the top of your screen and interact and check in with the rest of the families. Along the left side of the screen, there is an option that allows you to see attendees, and you can click a particular attendee if you're looking to connect with someone specific, but you can see everyone that's registered and that's in the conference, and you can chat and interact. But the virtual meet and greet rooms are a great way to connect with other families that are on a similar diagnostic journey. And so I encourage you all to do that. We'll have those set up and ready to go in about 5 or 10 minutes. So for tomorrow, you're going to use the exact same link that you used to log in today. I know we had some bumps in the road as we kicked off this morning, but I think we've got everything worked out, and tomorrow should get off much smoother than today did. Tomorrow we'll start the day off at 9 o'clock with Dr. Mark Corson. And then also just to remind everybody, we'll end the day tomorrow with a family-friendly movie premiere of The Magic Bracelet. We're excited to have Academy Award-winning writer and producer Diablo Cody and the film's director John Pohl, who will be live from LA for a post-screening Q&A. So we hope that all of the families will plan to join us tomorrow. Grab your popcorn, and it'll be a fun night to enjoy kind of a behind-the-scenes look at the movie. So everyone have a wonderful evening. Feel free to move around the conference space, chat with each other, interact with each other, and we look forward to seeing you back tomorrow for a full day of incredible sessions. Have a great evening, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.